Hello, everyone. Welcome to In Full View, focusing on trans masks in media, where we shine a light on the lack of trans masculine representation in entertainment. We're your hosts, Avi Roque,
and Yas Moderis Gasiri.
And today, we are talking about Tomboy. Tomboy is a 2011 French film written and directed by Céline Sciamma, known for films such as Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Tomboy follows a gender non-conforming child who introduces themselves as a boy named Mickäel to the kids in his new apartment building after moving over summer break. Sciamma intentionally avoids labeling the protagonist's gender, creating space for trans, non-binary, lesbian, and questioning viewers to see themselves in the story. The film has resonated with queer audiences, including Elliot Page, who has spoken about how meaningful it was to see queerness reflected this way. Before we dive in, there will be spoilers. If you haven't watched it yet, the film is currently on the Criterion channel, which does offer a free trial. Wow!
Nice intro.
Thanks. It was a lot of words, but I did it.
It was in French words. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this movie because it's a film I think I heard about it back in college. I don't think I heard about it when it first came out. And I remember like somebody who I think also has actually now transitioned was telling me about it, and so I'm glad we finally got to watch it because I felt like I had to keep like almost pausing it to be like, oh my god, I like feel so like I think it's the first time I've really seen something so close to like what my childhood felt like on film, which was kind of crazy.
1000%. I'm trying to remember when this, because I did see this film. I don't know if it was when it came out. I'm trying to track in my brain. But you want to know the beauty of why I even watched it? Was because of my dad. My dad was like, hey, there's this movie called Tomboy. You should watch it. I said, okay. So I remember I did watch it like, let's see, okay, maybe it was like, oh god, it was probably around when I was like exploring gender. And so that would be like 2016, maybe.
Mhm.
And I did watch it and I was like, whoa. Like, talk about being seen, right? Talk about being
Yeah.
like, whoa, yes, that. Uh-huh. I get that.
Yeah. There was I mean, because I watched it with my girlfriend Christine. I kept being like, oh, I did that, or like I
Mm-hmm.
like, and I know I mentioned on the podcast she's trans too. But there is what's nice about the film is that it is such a slice of life. I think it's very French in that way, where it is really this is what a child exploring their gender and sexuality. I think they're in grade 4, so I think they're about like 10 or 11, right? Because it's before puberty hit.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many moments where we're like, oh God, is something like horrifically transphobic about to happen? And then it didn't. And like,
Mm-hmm.
it never was like the worst case thing. And I think it was, I don't know, it kind of made me reflect of like, why am I just assuming the worst thing's going to happen? And I guess it's because you always see, that part in the film where the mother, so Mickäel has for at least a couple weeks been telling all the kids he's a boy, and the mom has been bedridden from a intense pregnancy. And so after he gets into a fight defending his little sister, which we'll have to talk about their relationship because I love it. But when the boy's mom's comes over, and that's when basically he's outed in a way where the mom finds out he's been
Yeah.
lying and makes him clear up his gender, and the kids are like, well, we want to see. And I was like,
Mm.
oh god, they're gonna like pants him, and like it like very a little boys don't cry-ish in a way. But then it became like, oh, we'll have the girl look,
Mm.
and she didn't take anything off of him. Like she did look, which is still violating, but it wasn't
Violent.
this worst. Yeah, it wasn't violent,
Yeah.
and it wasn't this worst case. And the boys at least had the wherewithal to be like, actually, maybe the girl should check your girl, that.
Right.
And so there was just moments of like, or like when he went swimming and he made
Yeah.
I loved it, but we were like, oh no, is the Play-Doh packer gonna float away? And it
Oh my
didn't.
God. We've already spoiled a big one.
I know. I jumped
The
around.
Play-Doh packer. Y'all, I know. Look at us already getting so deep into the film, but that was such a poignant moment where when we talk about bodies and we talk about parts and we talk about like what is revealing and like what is associated to a gender, and like when you get bare down to being like you're in a swimming environment, like you're either wearing a bathing suit if you're a girl, or a bikini if you're a boy. What are you wearing? Swim trunks or a little Speedo?
Yeah, well, it is French, so they wear
It is very
Speedos.
French, so the Speedos are present.
Which I feel like makes it harder because it's tight, you know? Like,
it's form-fitting.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, I feel like, I don't even know, should we get back to the beginning?
Yeah, let's get back to the beginning. This is a little taste of what's to come.
Just a taste.
I think a question I have. So Mickäel, like, he's just walking around, because it's also, I don't know, I guess it maybe takes place in 2011. I don't know if it's a period piece. I don't because it did have a 90s feel, but also like, I don't know if fourth graders in France had phones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we really don't spend a lot of time with the parents. So, and I also think it's hard to sometimes gauge fashion. That's actually something with the Olympics. I kind of noticed the pairs couple like skating, the theme was 90s. And we were looking at some of the outfits and we were like, oh, culturally, maybe this is what the 90s looked like for them. As most kids, you just let them out loose and they go and find other children to play with. And immediately, the first kid he meets is Lisa, who is his age and is the only girl in the movie or the group of kids, and immediately is like, oh, well, there's the other boys. Immediately genders Mickäel as a boy, and then he goes with it. And so a question I kind of have for you is, did you ever go by a boy's name as a kid with kids?
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, and it's funny that like it's very similar to Mickäel, but not with other kids. I will say the gender play I explored was when we played house with my sister and cousins. And they would be like, okay, what do you want your name to be? And I'd be like, Michael. So my name was Michael.
That's so funny.
Whenever we played like very house oriented, like family style games of like, okay, this is what we're doing. You're this, you're that. Who are you? Okay, I'm Michael. But anyways, that was me. What about you?
Yeah, so when I was like 8 or 9, my best friends in the neighborhood, they moved to Massachusetts. And so we went and visited like twice, I think. And I was playing with them and their other friends. And I can't exactly remember the context. I don't know if it's because it wasn't house. It was more like a tag game. And also like it's Massachusetts, so the backyards are like the forest. So like my memory. But I had to give a name, and I feel like it obviously wasn't my real name because I knew some of the people who knew me as Yas or Yasmin. And like Yas was always something I was called as a kid anyway. But I gave them the name Tom.
Tom and Michael.
I know, Tom and Michael, the two whitest men on the planet, just coming up. I took the name from Tom and Jerry. But
That's
yeah,
cute.
and so they all just called me Tom. And even like later when they would come ask about me or something, it was just Tom. So like in Massachusetts, even though I had 3 feet of long blonde hair, like I wasn't short haired.
They knew you as Tom.
And then funnily enough, later in junior high, my friend who is super into metal, there's a artist, I believe his name is Zach Wild. something like that. But his name is Zach, and he had really long blonde hair, and his guitar was orange. His favorite color was orange, and so was mine. So my friend ended up calling me Zach. And so even like 10 years later, when I went to her wedding, her parents were calling me Zach. And this, I hadn't transitioned at this point either. I was in a suit, but I still had my long blonde hair. But it's just all her friends outside of school knew me as Zach. So Tom and Zach were like two names I ended up kind of like going by, actually.
That's wild.
I
know. Like a percentage of your life, actually, you were Tom or
I know.
Zach. You know what? Can I speak to something though too about the film that like I feel really set the tone? Like as a filmmaker who is like, I'm gonna do a film exploring gender, really, and gender identity, gender expression. I loved that the opening scene was Mickäel, was what we see as a viewer, is a young boy with his father.
Yeah.
And they're driving, and he's teaching what we as the viewer is probably going to assume is the son, a young boy, driving and learning to drive with his father. I feel like immediately, like, we're setting the tone of, like, this is about a young boy.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought that too, because so when he's like sitting on his dad's lap and like getting to drive, I asked Christine if she ever did that, and she said no. And I was like, really? Because I did that.
Shut up, Yas. So did I.
I love doing it. I don't know if it's because like I grew up watching James Bond and you're like cars, I want to drive, and I even did it with like my dad's friends in like Switzerland and stuff. So I did it. Right. And it's like a good like bit, like I want to say like maybe more than 10 minutes into the film, there's the confirmation of Mickäel being assigned female at birth comes up, because you meet his dad and they're on their own little trip, and then you come home to like the quote unquote girls of the house, mom and his little sister Jean, and she's really cute. Like the little actress playing her, she was so good and so sweet. And something I liked too was they really established how girly she was.
Yeah.
So interestingly, the parents like kind of feel like the parents didn't create this environment where they were forcing Mickäel to be ultra feminine or not, because it seems like they're just letting their kids be in the gender they were. And I think you see Mickäel introduce himself. He plays with the new kids for a day, and it's not till the end of that day that the reveal of him being AFAB comes up. So you are really introduced to him. I mean, granted, like, you know what the movie is. We know the name of the movie. Like, it's not like the
title is a dead giveaway.
But and it's not to take away from the interpretation of like where lesbians can pull from this, or, you know, tomboys who end up not becoming trans men.
Yeah.
But I do think it was interesting that there was really no indication that Mickäel was female until the bath scene. So that whole first day sequence from like sitting on dad's lap to like bathtub time, Mickäel is on his own. And there's this element of, I think, a little bit of like apprehension. Like he's getting the lay of the land. Like, is it like, are people going to buy that I'm a boy? You can kind of tell like he's a bit shy at first. But there's kind of, it took me back to that freedom of being, I guess there's an element of just like, oh my God, you get time off during the summer to just like relax and have fun and play. There was like some scene that happened where I could almost like, I think at the, like when it was the golden hour, and I was like, I could almost smell the grass again from when I was like a little kid. And I think there's like this sense of freedom of like, you can just be yourself with a group of kids playing soccer, which is what he did eventually, right? Eventually he joins in plays with the other boys.
Correct. Because at that age, like, there is no real indication of like you're this or you're that. I feel like there is this passing kind of like feeling or like existence, but there's still that, like, for me at least, like that internal shame or that internal fear or anxiety around like that sense of like knowing though that this isn't right.
Yeah.
This isn't right. And I think that's what was maybe as a viewer, we were seeing those subtle things within Mickäel of like, wait a second, like, okay. Oh my gosh, you know what I thought about? When Lisa said, "You're not like the others." Whoa.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Lisa?
Yeah, and the whole time Lisa is definitely into him, right? Like,
Oh, definitely.
I mean, it's very from the start. Like, you could tell she likes the new boy. There's even that moment of like, because I think the first game they play as kids is Truth or Dare.
Oh,
in the
right.
hallway.
They're all sitting in a little circle. Correct.
And one guy is like asked the truth about like being in love with Lisa or something like that. And she handles it well, I think, just kind of like. But then the next one's a dare. And it's for, I think, Lisa to chew Mickäel's gum or vice versa.
Right.
Which I was like, ooh.
Oh boy.
I was
swapping saliva. I'm just
I mean,
kidding.
but that's
Oh my
kind
God,
of
I'm
what
the
it
worst.
was. I mean, it was like, ooh, like sharing gum with a girl.
Oh my goodness. Being kids at that
I
age.
know.
Oh,
I would
my
never
goodness.
do that with my girlfriend. I'm like,
You
get
would
your own
never?
gum. I'm like, I'm not chewing your gum. I'll get my own.
You're like, no, I'm not about that
No,
life.
but there was a lot of that, and you could tell. I felt like the actor who played the character did such a great job of. And I also was reading that because the director was asked about like finding kids or like did the kids understand what was going on, and apparently a lot of the actors' friends, like those other kids, were the actors' friends that came on.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's why they were able to like play and improv together so well and have that trust with each other.
That's special.
Yeah, because apparently everything was scripted for the most part, but she was like, they had to improv, to just get them to be kids, right? I mean, there's a level of, you're working with like young children, and some of them get really young, like Jean's little friends she makes.
Oh my gosh, yes. You're right. That's something the film did really well, was encapsulate like childhood.
Yeah.
And like the dynamics and friendships and relationships and like things that exist within that. I feel like it was just like really spot on.
I agree. And it really, I think, especially that first interaction with the Truth or Dare, of like capturing that moment of like wanting to be the boy that the girl likes, right? And like the idea where I'm like you're kind of like, ooh, she looked at me, or like she's betrayed gum, or like, is it a thing? And you're right, there's a trepidatiousness to it because he's like, is this gonna last? Can I be the guy who gets the girl?
Correct.
And it's already so awkward when you're that young anyway. I mean, I wasn't doing that at that young, but when you're like, you have your first crush, everything's awkward and like you're trying to
so awkward
navigate it, but then you have the extra layer of what if they find out I'm not this person.
1000%. That's always like there in the back. That's such a real thing. It sounds like both of us experience.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like I experience it now. Like, and I have to like remind myself, like, I'm like, oh, it's all guys and me, and I'm like, wait a second, I just misgendered myself.
Literally, no, that's so real. I agree with that. It still hasn't gone away. It's metamorphosized or like has changed over time as like I have transitioned. Like the ways that I still have any kind of anxiety or an alertness. I think that's so interesting.
Yeah. And I think, I don't want to like say like the stakes feel higher if like you're in a safe, because I feel like if I feel that way, I'm around people who will remind me I'm a man. You know, they'll like when I had to like shave
Right.
down to my mustache for 42nd Street, I was like,
Right.
I was afraid I was gonna look like a woman. Everyone was like, we forget you're trans. Like you
Right.
don't, you know what I mean? So it's like the opposite.
Like, you're
Either like,
okay.
but I feel like when you're a kid, it's like,
Mm,
I feel like what they say about high school, like when you're in high school, you feel like that is the most important time in your life that you will ever have until you
yeah.
are outside of it. And you look back and you're like, oh, that was just 4 years of my life. But I feel like it's the same when you're a kid. The stakes are so high. If you get embarrassed or fall out with a group of friends, your life becomes like a living hell. Like you're the weirdo, like
For sure.
that type of thing. And it's all you know, right? You don't, like you're 10, you don't think about like when I'm 30, I'm not going to give a crap about this. I forgot we don't swear on this podcast. But
yeah, though I get what you're saying. I mean, it's kind of trauma in the making. Like, I mean, yeah, the weight that is placed when you're a kid, especially trying to navigate anything that's other or different or that you feel is not the norm, like that's a weight. My God.
Yeah.
You know? But anyways, okay, let's find our way back to the film.
Yes.
I feel like...
So this goes on like, I feel like it's implied a couple days. Well, something that was interesting is like, we kind of noticed like he always wears the same thing. And we weren't sure, we're like, are these his only boy clothes? Or is it one of those things where, I mean, kids are gross and they wear the same clothes. I don't recall if the other kids always wore the same thing, because a lot of the boys are also shirtless throughout.
They were, which is another thing when we talk about, okay, but go ahead. So what are you saying about Mickäel and his clothing?
I'm curious if like, are those the only boys' clothes he had, or was it just kind of like a choice not to worry about it, like wardrobe with the kids? Because his parents feel like they're very supportive of him, right?
Yes. They do. I mean, obviously, like with wearing what he wants to wear and cutting his hair short. It seems like there's no issues about that.
And I think it's like, and I know it was kind of like until that reveal that we'll get to in a minute, the mom is like, oh, my girls, when talking about her kids.
She did.
But it's love. It's not like, oh, you should let your hair grow out, or like, why are you wearing that? Like the dad doesn't think about, like, everyone's fine with it in the household. Right.
But you're a girl.
Yeah.
You're okay to wear these clothes and you're okay to have this hair. That doesn't bother us, but you're our daughter.
Yeah. And I think having the very hyper feminine younger sister, because she's doing like ballet, she has long, gorgeous curls, like she's super into all that. It really feels like this is a household where they're just letting their kids be who they are.
Yeah.
Which in some ways is like, I wonder, like, is that still a thing that happens now? Because like, I remember, I can't remember the TV show. I want to say it was maybe called Gypsy or something, but it was about a therapist who like wasn't a great therapist because she would get involved in her clients' lives in like really weird ways, like end up sleeping with her client's boyfriend kind of stuff, you know? And her child was going like through the tomboy thing, cutting off their hair, wearing the clothes. But this came out like less than 10 years ago. Like probably I think I watched during the pandemic. And it kind of started becoming like the other parents being like, oh, is that going to be a trans kid? Like, are you going to start blockers? Are you going to be doing that? And I'm like, and I asked my mom, I'm like, did anyone ever bring that up with me? Because I was so boyish, you know, I hung out with only boys. Right. And she was like, no, like no one even, it wasn't even on anyone's radar. Everyone was like, whatever. They're like gender myself, but like
they're just being
a tomboy.
yeah.
She's being a tomboy. Whatever. No one cares.
Correct. That label. 1000%. I mean, same. I think generationally we're in the same like bracket.
Yeah.
But how fascinating.
Yeah. And so I don't know if today, are there still tomboys?
It sounds
You know?
different. I don't know. It sounds like possibly there might be a different, because with time and with resources and education, I feel like there has been a change in like more awareness around gender variance and gender identities and expressions.
Yeah. And
kids are being more vocal
and I feel like
and saying things.
it can be good in the sense of like, oh, now like a trans kid can get on blockers. But it's also bad in the sense of now a parent freaks out if they see their child playing with gender because now their child is automatically trans.
Interesting.
Because
where that may not be the case.
Yeah, because I guess the equivalent for AMAB, for whatever reason, it's called pink boys. At least it was at the time. I did not double check this research. It's been like 15 years or something.
Okay, but this is something that you heard?
And it was this term of like boys going through a little feminine phase, like girls going through a little tomboy phase, because of like the patriarchy and masculinity is viewed as like the superior gender. There's more wiggle room for like AFAB people to explore masculinity than there is for like AMAB people to explore femininity.
Totally.
But most tomboys and pink boys, it's a period. I don't want to use the term it's a phase because that sounds like crappy to say, but it's a period of time where kids explore their gender, and a lot of them enter into a phase that ends up being more in line with society's expectations. It just
interesting.
And like this study might be like super out of date. Like this was really before trans kids were in the conversation.
Right.
But I feel like I saw something where it's like even like a broken clock can be right, twice a day, because some conservative was like, what? So we should just let kids like explore their gender and like play with gender and then pick a gender, and people were like, yeah.
Literally, yeah. What? Let them explore, let them be curious, and then let them decide.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because of the exposure that has come with benefits, the negative response, I feel like now, does it cut off kids from getting to explore it? Do kids now, is there like is somebody who's like, well, my daughter wants to wear flannel and cut her hair off this year, I need to is it because she watched this show and now she's going to do like, versus just being like, she just wants to try something new.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to vary, right? It's going to vary by environment, by like parents, by politics, by who, like, okay, I work part-time at a preschool, and I feel like just in observing a lot of these young kids, like one kid that is assigned male at birth has pink Crocs, and there's no question about it. But I feel like we could easily be like, oh no, he likes pink. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just like, I don't know, it just depends.
Right. Because there are people like people were like attacking Machine Gun Kelly for wearing pink. And everyone's like, he's
chill. It's a color.
Yeah. And at the time he was with Megan Fox, one of like the most attractive women on the planet. And they're like, people are like, what are you talking about?
I know, it's tough. I can't imagine being a parent though.
Yeah.
Right? And being like navigating these things also though, when it's like maybe your lived experience is not like something you and I experienced. I feel like if we were parents, we would have a different lens and different context versus someone very cis, but maybe liberal. They're still going to navigate being a parent differently. There might be more of like a flexibility and more of like an exploration of like, okay, that's cool. You want this? Cool. We're not going to question.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You want to cut your hair? Short? Great. Or you want long hair? Okay. But I don't know. I just feel like it's always going to vary because then there are families and people and parents that's going to be like, I loved what you said of like immediately we jump to like, are they queer? Are they trans? Like, I
It's
don't
like
know.
they're 10.
They're 10?
Maybe. Like,
Yeah. Maybe.
it's, and like,
Maybe.
to be fair, I've definitely seen some kids where I'm like, that's a little lesbian, you know? Like, you could just tell sometimes where you're like, she's gonna, you know?
Yes.
But,
No.
you know, there's sometimes where you look and you're like, okay. But at the same time, though, that kid should be allowed to have the
Yeah.
life where
That freedom.
that, you know, the girl who looks like, you know, with a snapback, long hair,
Yeah.
all that, where she can grow up and be
Yeah.
that or not be that, because
Correct.
she's just can be who she is. Just like Mickäel, it feels like he's
Yeah.
kind of in a world where he can.
He can, and no one's questioning.
Yeah. And it is interesting because the secrecy we see at first is just with other people. Kind of like other people are the problem. Because I do think that's a factor in the, like, when parents find out their kid is queer, a lot of times they're concerned is like about other people.
Right. Are you good? Right. How are other people going to respond to you and
Yeah.
treat you?
And it could be a little bit more vain of like people are going to talk about the family and the family won't look good depending, but very much also can come from that place of love of like, how's the world going to react to you?
1000%. Yeah.
And so I do think we at least start off with like, okay, this is more so like a thing with the other kids. And then I think we're safe to move to the reveal because it does happen pretty early in the film.
Yeah, it does. And you talk about the reveal of like being introduced as a boy or like the body
reveal, yeah. Because it's after that
Right.
things start to unravel and then the sister becomes the ally and stuff.
The
Oh my
sister. Hold on. We got to give a shout out to the sister. Stop. The sister.
Yeah, she is so free. Like, she has to be like, I think she's at least playing a 6-year-old, I think.
It's great.
She is so cute.
It's adorable. And talk about really. Well, she has a moment though where she's like, why are you doing this? Basically, why are you telling everybody you're a boy?
It does.
Why are you doing this? Did she say again?
I think, let
No.
me double check my notes.
So I'm like, did she say, why are you doing this again? Or is it like, why are you doing this? Basically, why are you telling everybody you're a boy? And they have a little wrestling moment though of like, Mickäel being like, stop, don't say anything, be quiet. Because she's like threatens to tell mom. But it gets diffused.
Yeah, and this all happens after that reveal.
Tell us, okay, wait, maybe I'm not the one
I know,
to
you're
tell us
like,
about the
don't want,
reveal,
you're
'cause I
like,
keep
we're not
being
talking
like-
about it.
I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
So, I know. So,
can't.
Mickäel
Go.
and his sister Jeanna are taking a bath together, and they're both young, and I don't know. My brother is 10 years older than me, and we're born opposite sexes, so like I never showered with him or bathed, but I think this was is a common thing with like kids around the same age. And so they're finishing up, and then Jean gets out first, and we don't like see anything, and then Mickäel stands up fully nude. And that's when we're 100% confirmed he was assigned female at birth. Both my girlfriend and I were like, oh my God, that's a naked child. And then we were both like, it is French. And you can't see anything. It like there's no anatomy you can really see. It's just
No.
like, so that helped, I guess. We did have that, but we were like, it's a French film directed by a woman, and it was technically irrelevant to the plot. I just was not prepared for that to happen. I don't know about you, but I was a little shocked.
Right. LOL. I feel like, because again, remember, like, I watched it years ago, but then I rewatched it because I was like, I need to rewatch this. That's so interesting that you, like, it, like, gave you a pause. I don't know why, but it did not give me a pause. I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm watching. Okay, I get it because I understand. Like, maybe it was my thing of like I knew the
Mhm.
story, but I could understand if it's like someone coming in cold into being like, "What is this film?" I can see how it's kind of jarring.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, this is
It's
a
funny you didn't
child.
take pause, but you've been avoiding us talking about it.
Isn't that
Yeah.
funny?
And I'm like, we gotta talk about it.
I didn't. I'm
I
so
know.
numb, but I'm like, I'm not gonna talk
I know.
about it.
I don't know if it's also, it's like, not to like get political in a way that's just like not even related to trans politics, but like there's been so much of the Epstein stuff happening. And like, we also recently watched like a documentary on like Elizabeth Smart. So I think we were kind of in like a space of like,
It could have been a
yeah,
thing.
where
Yeah.
I'm sure everything was fine, but I think given how much the Epstein stuff has been happening, like I don't know in an American. No, I'm an American. Whatever. There might be some French person being like, "You stupid American! You watch people getting blown up, but the body upsets you," you know. But it is a really short moment. It's just like he just stands up. He just stand there for like a moment.
It's really
yeah.
subtle.
He gets out.
Mhm.
And that's when the mom starts saying like, "Oh, my girls," or we hear his birth name, which I hesitate to call.
The
yes,
given
the
name.
given name, which I think is used at one point. I think the word
It
given
is.
name is used eventually.
Is it? Yeah. You mean like what it is?
No, I think like that phrase, like your given name.
Really? Oh, I missed
yeah,
that.
or like what's your
Oh,
actual name?
at the
yeah, I
end.
think because obviously they didn't call it a dead name.
Yes, at the
Yeah.
end. Yes,
With
at
Lisa.
the end.
Mhm.
At the which is a very like that's the ending of the film.
Yeah.
Really. is that?
Yeah.
But you're right. But we don't hear it otherwise throughout the
But his
film.
parents call him
until
that
they-
a couple times.
They
yeah.
do, right? Yeah.
I think his mom especially a bit more, but it's very like random and casual. Like you're just talking to your kid because
right.
I don't know if it's a dead name. I don't know if because his given name is Lore, which I did look
Lore.
up is a specifically female name, girl, quote unquote girl's name.
It's a
gendered in
gendered
French
female
because
name.
in Lore doesn't
I
sound
see.
feminine in English.
No.
But he never like reacts badly to it. Anytime she, her pronouns are used or Lore,
he doesn't.
yeah. And it's just kind of like he accepts that while in the house, that's who he is. And when he's outside of the apartment, he is Mickäel.
Yes.
And so I can kind of see how it's less, in that way it felt kind of less like, I want to say less transish, but in the sense of the exploration of gender, of the way, because that's to say like he didn't wear girls' clothes inside the house. He was still wearing boys' clothes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what we attribute
Yes.
to boys'
Yeah.
clothes. Yes.
But there wasn't ever like the mom being like, you need to put this on, or you should let your hair, like it just never like
Never.
the only thing that changed was the name and pronouns at this part of the film in the beginning.
Correct. Because like we were talking about, the parents were very affirming of however their child wanted to express themselves. But for them, they were like, but you're still our daughter.
Yeah.
She, her. Lore. Okay, but anything, yeah, you be you. You dress how you want to dress. You look how you want to look.
Yeah. As we go back and forth with Mickäel playing outside with the boys and Lisa, and then playing with his sister in the apartment, or just spending time with his parents, which I did think was interesting. The mom is pregnant. She's having a boy.
Right. That's the gag.
Yeah.
At the end. But, yeah, no. I
And it's funny
know.
because my Mickäel whispers a secret to the baby at one point. So I'm like, I wonder what.
What did
Yeah,
what did he say? Oh, we can only
yeah,
speculate. My God, but there was so much juicy stuff between. Like, I know we're like totally just like letting this conversation unravel, but I feel like there were so many poignant moments, even within the film itself, of like these subtle nuances of like us experiencing one, being a child, two, the exploration and curiosity of body, which like there was parts of like Mickäel looking in the mirror, and I was like, I literally did that
yeah. I was like, I did that 2 days ago.
as a kid. Okay, well,
But
yeah,
no,
sure.
I did it
But
too.
as a
Yeah.
kid, like looking at your body in the mirror, especially when you're at the age where like your chest is
Mm.
flat, right? I remember like this is TMI. Oh my God. Like I remember I like stole a pair of my dad's underwear and like put them on and just had my shirt off and had my dad's underwear on and just like looked at myself in the mirror.
Mhm.
like like some of these things felt so real and so authentic, and not in this way that felt like pandering.
Yeah.
Remember like how we talked about
Yeah,
like
because
it felt real and
I think he was
authentic.
just getting ready for bed, so he just happened to be in front of the mirror, shirtless,
Right.
and that was
Right.
after. So they're playing soccer, and I feel like it was like a shirts
Hmm.
skins kind of situation.
And he didn't take it off
Not at
at
first,
first,
even though he
his
was on the
shirt,
skins
playing with
team.
the kids. Right.
And he kind of kept looking around and watching, and eventually he took it off. And
Right.
I have when I was a kid, I went swimming shirtless with boys before
Mm.
things developed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember how
Yeah.
scary it was. They actually, because I was visiting my friend's grandma's place and I was wearing his swim trunks, and he was like, "Why are you wearing my shirt in chlorine?" I was like, Because I'm supposed to. And then even his mom was like, "You can take it off.
Oh.
It's fine." Because I hadn't developed in any way,
Oh.
right? But I was just
Right.
like, it was kind of crazy.
You still felt
Yeah, I felt
naughty.
like I'm not
Not
supposed to do
naughty.
it,
You still felt
but it was actually
right. Like I'm not
really
supposed to.
amazing to get to do it. And I was like, I've gotten to do that as a boy, hanging out with other boys, being shirtless. And it's a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
boyhood that feels really great. Because and especially it is like an odd thing of like, why, if AFAB children haven't developed anything that we deem needs to be covered, then why are girls like with like under like prepubescent girls wearing bikini tops? Like why? Of course, if they feel safer or more comfortable, like of course, but like 3-year-olds run around their diapers only at the beach. No one says anything. They don't have anything going on. But then it's interesting
Yeah.
too. At the same soccer game or football, as they say.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know what they say in French. It could be something else.
Is foot? Is it
Well, it could be like
football?
ball of the foot. I don't know. Like
Oh
it's
my God!
probably
Not ball
football.
of the foot.
Well, they're playing soccer. He's watching the boys and how they're behaving and kind of mimics them. Like he sees a boy spit, and then so he spits.
Yes.
And when I was researching a little bit about the film, something I immediately interpreted as like, oh, he's trying to blend in. But someone who wrote,
Yeah.
I wish I remembered who wrote this article, as I like a little shout out to some of our research. Them did an interview with Elliot Page. Pop Matters did an interview with the director, and then the political outrage was from Little White Lies. But I think I was reading a little bit about the film before I watched it, and somebody was saying that this idea of learning masculine social behavior is something that cis boys also do.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's makes so much sense.
it does. But as like a little trans kid, you're like, oh, I have to mimic them and to blend in. But then they're all doing the same thing anyway.
But they're all doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fascinating.
And then it's that same soccer game where the boys have been hydrating because it's hot. And so they all go to like
Mm.
pee. And Laura has
Yes.
to also go to the bathroom.
Sneak away.
Mhm.
Yes. Because it's like, I can't just pee out in public like this, but I have to go. So I'm gonna escape.
That was another moment where we were like, he's gonna get caught. Someone's gonna see him. So what happens is like he pulls his pants up, and then it goes to the other boy who's just staring at him, and we're like, oh shit, he got caught. But then he's like, Mickäel peed his pants. And you're like, that still sucks and is embarrassing, but it's
Right.
not being discovered. And that was another moment of like, is the worst thing gonna and then it didn't.
It didn't. Yeah, for sure. Which is still humiliating, and it was still something that Mickäel was dealing with, because it was like, I don't want to go back out and play with the kids, you know, because it was humiliating in that way. But you're right. It wasn't in the way we thought.
And then he goes home and he washes his shorts in like the bathroom sink, so he's hiding it from his parents.
Right. That's a big factor right there. It's clear that Mickäel is not comfortable with communicating or sharing or being honest or vulnerable with his parents. So hard to like be carrying that weight.
So we have the really separate inner and outer world in a way, where it's inside the home, outside with the other kids. And then the first time they start to collide is when Lisa, the only girl and potential love interest, comes, knocks on the door to see if Mickäel's home and wants to play. Which, again, that's, I think, why it made me think of like, is this a bit of a period piece? Like, because I don't know if kids do that anymore, where you have to go door to door and like knock to see if somebody's home, and you like wait, and if no one answers, you go to the next door, or like their parents answer, and then, you know. Because if he had a phone, this wouldn't have happened. And so she knocks on the door, Lisa, and his sister opens the door. And Lisa asks if Mickäel is home. And his sister, Jean, is a little confused at first, but then she kind of goes with it in a way where it's like, he's not home. You find out she's like home alone. Everyone else went to the store or like an appointment or something, and they're coming back. And then in some ways you're kind of like, oof, you're like, woof, Mickäel got saved, right? Like, it wasn't totally exposed yet. He comes home with his parents, and then that's the conversation you were talking about earlier that the sister has with him.
Why are you doing this? I'm gonna tell mom.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that wrestling match around Mickäel being like, don't say anything, please, basically.
Yeah. And then he bribes her.
Yeah.
He promises to bring her along with his new friends to play, because she's home and she's been bored.
Correct. She's always left alone at home. And she's just, there was like one shot where it was just her standing alone. And I feel like that's clear. Like this little kid too, this little baby is just like is lonely and just wants like community and people to play with.
Yeah. And then so the deal is that she goes along with it if she like he brings her along to play. And there's like that, so like then it cuts next day, they're playing, there's that really cute scene where she's talking to the other little like 5.5-year-old, and they find out they're going to the same class, and you're like, very adorable conversation. But in that conversation, her new little friend asks about her brother, and that's when Jean talks about how great he is and how some boys were mean to her, and he was the strongest boy in their neighborhood, and he beat them up and protected her. And in that moment, because Christine and I were like, she asked me like, do you think that's a true story? And I was like, I do. I was like, I do think that actually happened. And not just because like a 6-year-old can't be that good of a liar, but I was just like, I have a feeling that's a real story. I just don't know if he did it as Mickäel.
Right. But she is explaining it as as her
yes,
brother.
what it
And
like my
as
big
Mickäel.
brother's so great.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah. That scene happens, and we see little sister really being an ally, but actually like really like being like, that's my big brother, and my big brother is amazing and protects me.
Yeah,
So sweet.
and then that night when they're having dinner, the parents ask her about her day.
Dinner. Correct. And that's where I got a little confused, because I was like, wait, she's talking about a boy that like,
but she was talking about,
I don't know.
She was talking about her sibling.
Yes.
Because so the mom, the parents were like, well, what happened? Like, how is it playing with the other kids? And Mickäel was like, earlier, don't say anything. And then finally she like starts talking, and you could tell he's like, what is she gonna say? And it's important to remember in this situation, Mickäel is Lore, not Mickäel. And so the sister starts talking about how much she liked her siblings' friends. And then she says, one friend in particular I really liked was Mickäel. He was my favorite. He was really nice to me. Like, he let do this. And the siblings kind of start laughing at this inside joke. And I think it was her little way of being accepting of her sibling, no matter how that sibling presents.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that was that moment of her being like, because she was, like you said, a bit in the beginning of like, why are you doing this? I'm going to tell mom. Because as a 6-year-old, she doesn't understand what's going on, right? Like, she's just like confused.
Right.
And probably just wants to get her sibling in trouble, because kids always want to do that with each other.
Sure.
So I thought it was a very, very sweet moment of her way of almost also kind of saying like I kind of read it a little bit even as she prefers her sibling as Mickäel. I kind of got a little vibe of that.
Almost like I see your truth, and like I see
like probably
really
picking up on the happiness or being in his element, or that ease.
Yeah, and for like being the younger sibling, that's beautiful. They had so many sweet moments throughout the whole film, really. Like, just their bond.
Yeah, I think their relationship
of like having a sibling
was definitely like my favorite one, because in a lot of ways, I mean, I think it's true for me, but I think a lot of queer people, when it comes to family, our siblings tend to be the first family members that are the supportive ones or help us deal with mom and dad or how to come out. So I do think there's a lot of truth in that.
Totally. I have to agree with that. Yeah, I do feel that. Wait, okay. I feel like we were earlier when we started this, we were talking about the swimming moment.
I think it's coming up.
Right? Is it coming up? Because this is a big one. The way another moment of childhood and summer. Is it summer?
Yeah, it's summer break.
Right? The kids aren't in school. And the way, like, specifically culturally where, like, these kids are, it's all about, like, having fun, playing outside, playing soccer, going swimming.
Yeah.
And it's, like, again, the way we automatically are going to, like, say, okay, if you are this, you wear this for swimming. If you are this, you wear this for swimming. But, like, again, we are still, like, Mickäel is Mickäel to all of his friends and all of these new kids he's met.
Yeah.
He is a boy.
And he's in...
And the way...
I was going to say, not only is he's invited by Lisa, the girl.
That's right. Okay, Lisa keeps being like, I want you there. I want to hang out with you.
So he has to go.
I want to be around you.
He has to go. You know what I mean? Like, because I think she asked, like, are you going to be going? We're all going swimming. Like, you need to come. So there's a lot at stake for him to go.
There's a lot at stake, and Mickäel is like, well, I gotta go, but I need to figure out honestly, it's like how you're presenting in what you're wearing for swimming.
Yeah.
And like, not to beat around the bush, but it is really like about body and anatomy and like, choosing, well, no, because it's, again, I guess it's French, but like a little boy or a boy or a man is going to wear a Speedo.
Yeah. And
Or,
like we said earlier, like it makes it harder because it's like that's form fitting, but that's just what they wore. And then so we see Mickäel trying to problem solve. And
problem solve.
And so he finds one of his swimsuits that is in the traditional quote unquote female bathing suit, like a one piece.
Mm-hmm. The silhouette.
And he cuts the bottoms off.
Mm-hmm.
And at first we were like, oh, that's gonna like be a Speedo. I think Christy was like, wait, and I was like, they're French, baby, they're French, this is like how they wear things. And so he cuts the bottom of the swimsuit off to make a Speedo, but that solves one problem and creates another problem, is that anatomically he doesn't have what people expect to fill out a Speedo.
There you go. Right.
Enter Play-Doh.
Play-Doh. Some clay, some Play-Doh.
Literal Play-Doh.
And yeah, and he makes something to fill his little new Speedo.
Also, it's...
And again, another mirror moment.
Yeah.
Another mirror moment to, and like, look, admire, assess.
That word, too, you said admire. Because he makes his little Play-Doh packer. And he puts it in the swimsuit. And he likes it.
He likes it.
He does like it.
He's happy.
Yeah. And it's very resourceful, I gotta say. We were both like, Play-Doh, we're like a little panicked of like, is this gonna last in water?
How is that gonna
is it gonna
stay?
Hold up. We're like, what? But I'm like, he's using the resources he has. Like, he's a child.
It worked. There was no issues at his swimming play date.
Yeah.
There were no issues.
And again, that was another trauma moment we were waiting for, because they're jumping off. And so they're at a lake. And I grew up next to a lake too. And you have that platform in the middle of the lake that so you can like jump off of it, right? And things happen with swimsuits sometimes when you jump off of things, And we were... like, I almost want to rewatch it knowing that I could have just relaxed and been safe, because we did have times of like, oh God, because...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's something there, Yas. The way that you're like witnessing, watching, and waiting for the other shoe to drop, or like waiting for something to go awry, that says something.
Yeah. I agree, right? This idea of like, we're so used to trans media having something that has to happen that's bad, that is trans oriented, or it has to be the most extreme.
Yeah.
Because like we said, looking like you peed your pants and the kid telling other kids, that is bad. Like, that is not a good situation to be in when you're 10.
For a kid? Yeah. No.
For cis kids, that's probably like worst case scenario when it comes to peeing, right? For trans kids, there's a heightened worst case scenario when it comes to needing to use the bathroom. But it's this idea of like, I kind of feel like most of the stuff until the end that happens to Mickäel that's not great, it's something that would have happened to a cis kid. Oh, you peed your pants. Like, that sucks, but it's not being pantsed and misgendered in front of everybody.
Even the ways that they're playing and interacting of like wrestling and like who won, it's very like the issues or the problems are not, which also I'm like, that's so fascinating to me, because every time we do witness Mickäel interacting with the other kids or playing games where there's like a winner and a loser, I feel like Mickäel is always winning.
Yeah. He's really athletic. He's beating the boys.
Yeah. I love it.
And also, something else important happens on this trip is Lisa gets him alone, walks him into like a not dense forest tree area, and
somewhere private.
has him keep his eyes closed, and then she gives him a little kiss, like peck, like very age appropriate little peck on the lips. And he takes his, and he's a little, you could tell he's kind of surprised, right? And then he just has this like smile, and like he likes it, and it's so sweet and innocent.
Yeah.
And so that kind of begins him and Lisa. I want to say dating, but they're 10, so I don't even know if, like, you know, whatever the 10-year-old version of dating is.
Okay, and I might be jumping.
Yeah.
But is there a moment where Mickäel goes over to her house?
Yes. So that's after they've had their first kiss.
Okay.
And she ends up inviting him to hang out and play, like, alone, like their first play date.
Just them two.
Because she tries to actually come over and hang out, and he's like, no, you like can't come. And he uses his mom as an excuse, which is like, I feel like valid. Like her pregnancy is rough. She has to be bedridden, but he knows she can't come over.
Right.
And so he goes to her place, and it felt very much like that boy girl, like she's like dancing to pop music, and he's like takes a moment to get into it. And then she wants to play girls with him.
Correct. Which entails makeup.
Yeah. I don't know why, like, girls are into doing that. Girls love putting makeup on boys. Like, I feel like that always, like, culturally, that happens in the US too, where they're like, they love painting their brother's nails and putting makeup on them. It's like happens all the time.
Okay, so they play girls, and Lisa puts makeup on Mickäel.
Yeah. And he does say, like, oh, don't put on too much. And then she has a moment after she's done putting the makeup on him, which is, like, decent for a 10-year-old, like, skill-wise, in the sense of, like, it doesn't look, you know, it's too much makeup. It's not the TikTok level 10-year-olds today. But she pulls away and looks at him and has a moment of, like, you look great as a girl. In the sense of, like, this is a compliment, still seeing him as a boy, but being like, oh, with your makeup, like, you, like, wouldn't make a bad looking girl, which any 10-year-old boy wearing makeup could look a certain way, right?
But it makes it more complex for Mickäel.
Does.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the way he might be internalizing that, or the way that he's receiving that.
It does, yeah. And I don't think his initial reaction is that big or anything. I don't know. Does it cut, or does he say he needs to leave?
No. From my understanding, I feel like, again, it kind of just is like, again, like, okay, kind of flat in his response. But what's sticking out to me is that when he leaves, he has his hood up over himself, and it feels very, like, shameful or very, like, worried.
Yeah, he does not want to be seen.
To be seen with the makeup. But when he gets home, then Mom does get to encounter and experience him with this makeup on, and doesn't she have comments about it?
Yeah, so he gets home and she's like, oh, come here, and he's like, I'll be there in a minute. He's like, come here. He's like, I gotta do something really quick. You can tell he wants to wash the makeup off. He does not want his mom to see him with the makeup on. But she insists, so he goes over, and it's a really subtle comment of where she was like, oh, I like your, like, you look pretty with makeup on. And I'm like, oh, it looks nice on you. Really casual.
Right.
Because I also think as 10-year-olds, most parents aren't like being like, you need to wear makeup, you know, like you should be wearing makeup. But
but the way that can sting, and I'm going to share a little anecdote very quickly. I'll try to be succinct, but the way that could sting and the way that can have an impact is like, okay, in high school, I was like figuring out my sexuality, but I had a girlfriend, but I also had a boyfriend. And so it was like this like triangular business going on. So one night, randomly, my boyfriend showed up at my house with a chocolate rose and like a card just to be like, I care about you and like I love you. Just randomly. But meanwhile, I have this girlfriend that's secret, but my mom doesn't know that, and I can't tell anyone about that. And so then when I walk inside my house after this boy showed up at my house being like, here's this chocolate rose and this card and I love you, I walk into the house and my mom is like, who's that from? I was like, I'm not going to name anyone, but I'm like, so-and-so. And she's like, oh, I really love him. He's so sweet. And that broke me.
Yeah.
Because it's just like that feeling of being like, you don't know and see me and understand like anything that I might be going through, but like what you can articulate is a thing I don't want you to be articulating, which is like, do you love this boy for me? You know? Anyways, I don't know. It just made me think of this, like, those parallels around how much, like, you can receive that sentiment and where a parent might mean well. It's not intending to be hurtful.
And I think that's what the film does such a good job getting is, I don't know if microaggressions is the right word because they're not intended to be, right? Like, it's not coming from a place like that, but it's just, and I think that's because typically slice of life isn't like my favorite genre, but I think because it like this is a slice of life, but it is sort of shows the everyday like battle that you go through as like a trans kid, and like you're just trying to navigate and not get caught and just live your life, and for everybody else it's just another Tuesday, but for you it's another day you like survived, that you got through, that you were able to be who you were, that you weren't caught. And so I think it does like a really good job with that, because it doesn't get super and explosive's not even the right word, because it really doesn't ever feel that way, but it doesn't really get crazy until near the very end, which
I think we should get there now.
Yeah. And so the first tipping point of things becoming unraveling is when the school list goes up. And Lisa notices that Mickäel is not on any list because there's only one fourth grade class, so they must be in the same one. Because she's like, won't that be great? We'll be at school. This is like her boyfriend now, right? Like she's like ready to enter fourth grade with the new boy on her arm. And, you know, he just makes a thing of like, oh, maybe it's because we just moved. Like, I'm not in the system yet. But it's kind of the first hint that reality is on its way. And then when the sister is playing with Mickäel and his friends, one of the boys pushes her. Mickäel finds out and they fight. And it is the manifestation of that story that she talked about, how he defended her. And so whether or not Mickäel is being called that or his given name, Mickäel's still the same person. He defends his sister and he'll fight any boy who messes with her. And like you said, he tends to win, and he won. He kicked that kid's ass. In a very like realistic, awkward, like, oh yeah, this is like how children fight. It's stupid.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was not Cobra Kai.
No, it was not. No. But correct. But to the point where it was clear Mickäel was the winner.
And then that little boy went and tattled and told his mom.
Sure. And then one of the next scenes is a knock at the door of Mickäel's house, and his mom answers, and then we are met with a still shot of the boy that was beaten up and his mother. And now the mother is saying, your son beat my son up, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not cool. What a reveal. That's a big thing, because now mom is trying to piece everything together.
Yeah.
And is trying to make sense of what is going on, because she's like, I think you're mistaken.
Yeah. And the dialogue is really smartly written, because the way she's like, you're incorrect, like, I don't know what you're talking about, comes off from the other mother's perspective. I can see how she, like, it sounds like she's saying, you're wrong about my son. My son would never do that, right? That's kind of how it sounds, at least through subtitles. And so it's smart the way it's written, because the mom has a moment and then pieces it together. And then I believe she's like, kind of goes along with it. Yeah. And it's
she goes
like
with
the sister did, to be like, sure.
Yeah. Of course. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets next level.
Yeah.
And where it was like, why couldn't we just leave it at that?
I know. Yeah. I will say, throughout the movie, we were wondering, like, what's the plan? Like, what are you going to do when school happens?
Right.
Like, you know, we were kind of like, what's the long-term plan here? From Mickäel, like, so I think we kind of knew something was gonna have to happen, and it's unfortunate that, like, they couldn't have just he wasn't able to just tell his parents, change his name. He could have probably gone another couple years without things happen, like just body changing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so cat's out of the bag, and mom is like, this is unacceptable. It's, of course, Mickäel's crying. It's just, I think the mom actually does hit him at some point, like a little slap on the face, right?
Right.
And something I thought was really interesting, like you were touching on earlier, with like the parent pairings and how parents react, and it can be really different. It actually was very different. The mom freaking out, and dad being like, she'll get over it. It happened.
Like, dad was there with Mickäel, comforting him and just like being by his side.
Yeah. But
there's more.
Yeah. Because not so far as to be like, yes, we'll let you be Mickäel. And I will give like the mom a little bit of credit. After she calmed down, she was kind of like, you start school in like a week or two. What are you gonna do? Like, if this showed up, like, and also, to my understanding, I can't say for certain, but a lot of different countries wear school uniforms, so he would maybe have to go to school in a girl's uniform. And
right.
So the mom kind of went into a little bit of that problem solving mode, because like this is 2011. And while the filmmaker is obviously aware of trans people, your average person maybe not so much. Like, there's a good chance that, and like, again, different countries, so there's the cultural of information. I don't know if that was being talked about.
Right. Like, at that time, in that age, in that, like, the cultural landscape and setting, it did seem like it was like a problem.
Yeah.
To be like, what are we gonna do? You can't do this because you're starting school.
Yeah.
And there are certain expectations
around
who you are and like what we're doing here.
And from my experiences of going to Europe, and my parents lived in Switzerland for a few years, it's super gendered, and
really
the gender like scale leans femme. Like, generally, like, the joke, gay or European.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of a thing. Yeah. You like it because it's a different culture. You walk around, men are dressed, they were grooming themselves like way before the metrosexual thing in the US, And so there was like a shift where I'm like, I didn't see tomboys, or I didn't see room like for people like me. Like, I needed a jacket. We were in Hungary or something, And the woman could not grasp the concept that I wanted the men's jacket for myself. And my dad had to be like, no, it's okay. And mind you, I was like 19 or 20. I wasn't a child. Like I was a teenager. I was like almost a legal adult depending on the country, right?
Oh, wow.
So I kind of felt like just as someone presenting that way as like, you know, having long hair but men's clothes, I felt like there was less room for queerness kind of in the...
I understand.
Yeah, because a lot of people just assume that Europe is more progressive and like way more queer. And I will say Switzerland tends to be a more conservative country. Like we went over the border to Besançon in France and I saw like gays like all these lesbian couples like everywhere. So
interesting.
You know, I don't know exactly what part of France this was in, but there's gonna be they're just like us, they're not a monopoly. And
correct.
Yeah. And so
and we have to consider the year.
Exactly. 2011. Right. I don't know if some French parents are like, oh, we need to look into puberty blockers now. You know. And so the mom makes Mickäel put on a dress.
Okay, I felt like we needed to do a trigger warning. No, just kidding. No, I don't mean to make light of that.
Yeah.
But no, it felt pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like the choice around mom now saying you have to make amends, and making amends is wearing a dress and going to the boy that you fought to say you're sorry. Going to tell the girl that you're best friends with the situation and the truth. The truth, I'm putting that in quotes.
Yeah. And it
was rough.
It was. And because I know Lisa didn't even like say anything. She just left because
she said nothing.
Because for her, she's been kissing. I mean, it's not like they're making out or anything, but
right.
And I can also
I think there's power in the end, though.
I
think there's power in the end with Lisa.
Yeah, but I can also see the lesbian interpretation of this film, right? For like Lisa.
Okay, go ahead.
Because like we talked about how Lisa put makeup on the boy she's dating, and like the way he looked with makeup on,
right?
And then she finds out that she's been kissing a boy, actually a girl. And
sure, the movie is telling us, okay,
right? And
hey,
so her reaction
You've
to
been actually kissing a girl.
Yeah, and her reaction to it, like the fact that she kind of extends an olive branch at the end, I can kind of see maybe how people who identify as lesbian also can feel seen in this, because we did talk about that, where it was vague and ubiquitous, so people could, I just threw out that word, I don't even know what it means, but if people could ubiquitous, what am I doing, hopefully I used it right, but people could imprint their own experience on, which was an interview I could not find again, but the filmmaker did say that was intentional, so people of different queer experiences or cishet women who went through a tomboy phase could see themselves in it. But yeah, so of course that bombshell drops, and
it's pretty traumatizing.
Yeah, and Mickäel ends up, he doesn't run away. He runs into like the woods, and there's that moment because also he has the dress over his boy clothes, which has been a gray tank top or gray t-shirt and like red shorts.
Yeah,
and I was like, when I had to wear. Like, I eventually, like, gave up with my mom for a little bit, and I wore, because I went to a Catholic high school, and so I could wear, like, pants and stuff, but I was wearing a skirt. I put it over my shorts, so I could take off the skirt.
Wait, isn't a skirt short?
Yeah, but it's, like, really baggy.
Okay.
It's very
so
loose.
It's still really a baggy skirt.
Yeah, it's kind of like, sometimes you're going upstairs and you see things. Like, it wasn't, I was like, I don't think they did exactly what they needed to do.
Okay.
But there was enough room that I could do shorts. And then my mom, I think, noticed one day, and she asked, like, about it. She's like, is it cold or something? And I was like, oh, yeah, it's just cold. And she stopped making me do it.
Oh.
Yeah. Once she saw what I was doing, she stopped. She eventually actually had like apologized to me about it and everything. It was
of course.
Yeah, it was a big well in high school.
There's always a moment. Yeah, there's always a moment.
It was a big moment. My parents were very supportive. But,
interesting.
But I was like, I've done that. Where like you're being forced to wear a dress or something, or like at a graduation or something, and I'm like, but I still have my shorts on underneath. It's like a barrier of protection between you and the dress
to be comfortable.
Yeah, and so he runs into the woods, and I love the shot where he takes off the dress and like this defiance, and then as he's leaving the woods to go back home, the dress is left behind, hanging.
Yeah,
which I think is one of the most dramatic moments in this very slice of life film, like that symbolism. Like, what kid is gonna leave their nice clothes and like they know they're gonna get in trouble? The mom was like, I think that was such a powerful moment for Mickäel to leave the dress behind.
Because that's not him.
Yeah, and he's also not really reprimanded for it later. But
no,
because I think the mom really, I think she thought that she was coming from, my kid's gonna start school in 2 weeks. By then the kids will have forgotten about it, and like my kid won't be the freak and will have friends. Like, I really think that she thought she was helping like it was like a PR thing.
You said, yes, I feel like you said something super valuable around the way that parents, again, I'm not a parent, like I'm only guessing how my parents felt like with me, of like, you wholeheartedly care about your child's well-being and like the way that they can exist comfortably, freely, and securely in the world. And I feel like sometimes, sure, it's a lack of resources, a lack of knowledge, a lack of education, and they're doing the best they can. Yeah. And for Mickäel, like, his mom was doing the best she could.
Yeah.
Now, does it have an impact? It could, yes.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Well, and because what's interesting, too, is, like, eventually the mom's like, you need to go outside and play with your friends. Because she's
easy to go out and play.
Yeah, and because I think she's like, rip the Band-Aid off now, so by the time school happens, because like he can meet other friends, right? It's just rip the Band-Aid off, but she's not making him wear girls' clothes. He goes out in his boy clothes.
Yeah, there's no forced, which is why it's almost like, and maybe you have more insight into this. Why do you think the filmmaker then decided to have that moment around mom doing, was it that protective thing around like, please, like, we need to make this right because I don't want this to be harder for you?
Yeah, I think it probably will be like, depend on who watches it. To me,
right,
my interpretation as a trans person was like, you can be as queer as you want as long as you're not trans. That was kind of the thing I got from it. It's like, yeah, you can wear short hair or wear boys' clothes and cut your hair, but you're a girl. You can go ahead and you can play with the boys and do all this stuff that you feel like a boy, but you're not.
But you're a girl.
Yeah. And so, because I know somebody who was telling me when she came out to her sisters before she transitioned, when she came out as gay, like, sister made a comment, doesn't remember, and now is very supportive of her trans sister, but made a comment, it's like, as long as you don't turn into a woman. Right? There's that thing of like, there's a line of like queer that people can accept or not. And I think from the parents' perspective, the tomboy phase is not queer. That's kind of how I took it, was like, yeah, you can go ahead and be a tomboy, but you're not actually a boy. You're a tomboy.
Right.
So,
and my goodness, what is the Webster Dictionary definition of a tomboy?
Yeah.
No, that's so true. And like, I mean, and really, and when we wrap up the film though, it's like after we go through all of that, when we tie it back to Lisa, because Lisa shows up. It's the final scene.
Yeah.
Right?
And well, right before the final scene, I know we gave it away at the beginning, was the Mickäel tries to hang out with his friends and they're all like, you're a girl, like you need to prove it to
That's
us.
right.
And then they chase him into the woods
I'm
to
sorry.
like pants
I
him.
forgot about that.
That's
the
fair.
reveal.
It's
I'm sorry.
the height
Yes.
of trans.
No, that's important.
It's like the height of trauma in the film.
That's important.
Yeah.
Around like, no, you're a girl, and you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna
see
make
and
sure,
we're gonna prove
like,
it.
We're gonna see and we're gonna know.
Yeah.
Correct. And that was a thing. And then you mentioned earlier it was Lisa that they send.
Yeah, because
you need to check.
Because Lisa steps in and is like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, and this is where the lesbian queerness or bisexuality for Lisa maybe can be read into, where they're like, "Well, you kissed a girl. That's disgusting." And she has a B.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and she's like, she has a B, and she's like, "You're right. That's disgusting." Like flatlined.
The peer pressure around that.
Yeah, and we're like, we don't know what Lisa. She's 10. Maybe she likes girls and boys.
Right.
But, you know, we don't know.
Maybe Lisa doesn't know. Okay. But again, oh my God, that pressure. That pressure of wanting to conform. That pressure of not wanting to be different.
Yeah. And I think there's also an element of like the toxic masculinity, because it really is like old boys and Lisa, and then Lisa has to step in. It's almost like the Lord of the Flies thing where they like went out of control and she had to step in and be like, this is crazy.
Right.
And then the boys were like, you know what, you're right, if anyone should look, it should be you.
Right
It's still not okay that she looked,
right,
but she at least did not pants him. She at least it was an AFAB person also, you know, so the boys at least had a little wherewithal.
Right.
But
it wasn't a violent moment.
It wasn't. It was sad.
Yeah.
And humiliating too.
Right.
But very sad. But yeah, it didn't turn into Boys Don't Cry.
No. But then, right, because then we, as we're really at the end of the film, the mom has had the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a baby boy.
Yeah.
Correct. And there's a scene with them, with mom and baby, the little Jean, the little sister, and Mickäel.
Mm-hmm.
But then I feel like then there's the when we're getting to like the final scene. Lisa's outside of Mickäel's window, right?
Yeah. And I think she's like hanging out by herself.
Just
and
there.
I think I think he goes to her, right? Or she joins him.
I feel like there is some kind of summoning happening.
Yeah, it kind of felt like, yeah, she's like outside.
I'm here. She's like, I'm here. Are you going to come out?
Yeah.
Like telepathically.
Yeah.
Because
and then
he goes out.
Yeah. And then they're together, and we probably should have written down the exact wording because it feels important. It's translated.
I hear you. And I feel like if we need it, I think the translation really is like, what is your name? Wasn't it? Am I tripping?
I think so. I don't think she said given name or real name.
It's like, hi,
then
what's your name?
Yeah. And then he said, my name is Lore.
He does say Lore.
I know he said my name is because I remember Je m'appelle from my franchise.
Yes, Je m'appelle. That is my name is. Interesting. And I'm like, what do we take away?
Yeah, because the last moment is Lisa kind of gives a vibe of like, we can keep being friends. And
there is an openness and a willingness of like, I like you just as a person.
Because the very last shot of the film, when Mickäel says that his name is Lore, and then gets that vibe from Lisa, he kind of does this like half smile, and then the film ends.
Correct. I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I know.
Maybe it. Okay. What if it really is like, I'm comfortable in who I am and what I give and present, but like a name It's just the name.
A rose by any other name would smell just as sweet.
It could be. I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah, we were very much, because of course we were looking at it through a very trans lens, because we're trans, or we watched the For the Trans podcast. But
right.
I think it's on purpose. Like, it's purposely open-ended. Like, the director has literally will not confirm. Right. Because she wants everybody to be able to, like, take something from this.
Yeah.
I think it could just be like, he's like, okay, like, you saw who I am and you're okay with it. And that could be interpreted as like, I want to be a boy and you're fine with it. Or it could be like, you don't think you're okay that I went through a little phase, or you're not judging me for that, or I at least have a friend, or it's alluding to lore, because the filmmaker in interviews does use she, her pronouns when referring to Mickäel, and uses the name Lore. So it could also be like, Mickäel is not trans.
We're all like, we're transifying.
I know. But like I said, the director has said, like, this is a film that she wants whether trans men, non-binary people, or lesbians to be able to, like, anybody can take away from it. So it's one of those things where it could be that, like, this kid's not trans at all. But
totally. But you know what? Go ahead. Tell me what.
I was just going to say, I don't think that's true. And I have my hard reasons why.
Oh my
Not just because I'm not trans. But I think, to me, it was like the body stuff. Like, you had brought up looking at himself in the mirror, liking the look of the penis.
Right.
Which could have been just like, haha, like, admire my craftsmanship. I think some of that physical body stuff felt very trans adjacent. Yes, it felt very specifically trans. I don't know what the experience of a non-trans tomboy was. Yeah. I don't know if they also did that with the mirror.
Right. Totally. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, I think it's a moment that can mean so many things. Yeah. I think at its root, to me, I think I mostly was like, he's happy to still have a friend. Totally. And I wonder if it's also like a statement around, like, a name doesn't define who I am. Yeah. Like, you saw my root, you saw my core, you saw who I am, and you liked that. Mm-hmm. And, like, I'm still that person. Yeah. Because he's wearing boys' clothes in that moment. And a moment we didn't mention was, like, the sister was helping him trim his hair. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, and they played little, like, fake mustaches, which I also did. Me too. Right. But there was that comment he had where it's like, not too short or mom will notice. So there's still a line, and he's aware of that line. Right. But yeah, so I think... And I think it's fitting that it's not an end because he's 10. Like, it's not an end. It's like the very beginning of your life. It's the beginning, for sure. But 1,000%. I just went on for like 7 minutes about what I think the end is. What do you feel like No, I just said it. I said that, like, you can say, like what I was saying was, like, a name doesn't define who you are. Okay. Like, I can still name and say, okay, you asking my name? Well, this is my name. This was the name I was given. Right? Yeah. But, like, you have clearly, like, experienced me in another way, or, like, you've gotten to know me at my truth and at my core. So it's just like, listen, like, yep, this was the name this is my name. This is what was given to me. But, like, I'm still the same person. Yeah. And, like, I feel like, I don't know, but, like, I put so much emphasis on a name, like, when I was transitioning. Because I was like, this name I was given, don't work. It's a little too... Oh my god, should I do it right here, right now, exclusive? Exclusive.
This is
Dropping.
exclusive, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
So my parents.
Oh, you're going to?
Yeah. Named me. Here's the gag. So, okay, in English, it's Angelica. But in Spanish, it's Angelica. And my full given name was Angelica Maria Roque. And so growing up, I was like, everyone was calling me Angelica. And they'd be like, Angelica from the Rugrats.
Oh no, I did think of her immediately.
Of course you did. But which is what I love about this film too, is like it made me think about all these iterations of life that we reach, where we're always trying to redefine ourselves or reestablish ourselves, whether you're trans, queer, or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like these pivotal points of like when I finished 8th grade and I was going into high school, that's when I was like, learned that I was like, wait, what? My parents, you wanted me actually to be Angelica, but you've let everyone call me Angelica.
They did it. Oh my god!
But you intended it to be Angelica? Okay. Well, guess what? My name is Angelica right now, going into high school. So, like, I literally was like, that's who I am. That's my name. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's just so fascinating to then coming to the point in my mid-20s, if that's like after high school, after college, I'm out of college, I'm a young adult, then finding revisiting those questions around gender and identity and expression and being like, what's trans? Because I didn't know about that. I knew nothing about trans anything growing up until probably literally when I started transitioning myself. Mm-hmm. Was when I realized, what is transgender? Oh, okay, what is non-binary? What is gender non-conforming? What is this pronouns thing? I was like 24, 25. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then that's when I was like, wait, I can choose a name for myself. And then the name thing of like figuring it out. Mm-hmm. Now, no regrets on my name, but if I could go back, I wish I would have explored more indigenous Mexican, Aztec, Mayan names. I think I wasn't in that headspace of like that identity and that culture in my indigenous roots. Now, I don't hate Avi, but like it is a Hebrew name. Mm-hmm. And that is not a culture that I am not Jewish. Like that is not my background. Yeah. But it was a name that I connected to in the moment when I was seeking a name. Mm-hmm. And I really loved it. And I was like, that's who I am. Because I really wanted something gender neutral at that time. I really wanted something that was not a boy and not a girl. And it was hard to find names that started with an A because I still wanted an A name. Mm-hmm. But anyways, that was my whole diatribe of a name. But if you have any comments, I don't want to be like shut you out of that. But like you probably have a story too.
I love that. I didn't change my name, so I don't. I mean, I thought of it.
Like, I was in a good spot. It's okay.
I thought about it. Like I had found out like if I had been born a boy, like Jordan was a name my mom would like. But I also found out my dad was like apparently like I'm not gonna have my son named after a river because being Middle Eastern, he thinks of that, you know. And then like, oh my god, there's a chance like Ali or Akbar would have been in the middle name section. I was like, wow, like real ethnic. I think in like a weird way because of the lack of Middle Eastern representation. Yasmin doesn't seem gendered to me.
It doesn't.
Like, and that's also Yasmin also is an unusual variation of Yasmin or Yasmin. apparently I think I'm named after Grace Kelly's daughter. Like my mom always liked it. She married a Moroccan, then my mom got her own Middle Eastern man. So my mom had a type. Her crush growing up was Omar Sharif. Okay, like she had a type. But yeah, because even like a lot of like relatives or people would be like Yasemin, they'd add an A, but it's Yasmin. And I might have Americanized it a little bit, but I always was like, oh, it's super common. If I was in Iran, it would be different. I think my relationship to the name via gender, because I had people all the time ask me if was that like usually a boy's name or a girl's name when they, when you go through that phase where they're like, are you a boy or a girl?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And my name didn't give it away.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. And so I think it maybe would have been different if I had been in a culture that had my name more. But then my dad, I found out like in my 20s or something that he had never heard of just Yasmin as a name. It's not usual. And then I found out just like a year or two ago that Arabs apparently use it as a male name. Like one of my friends knew more male Yasmins.
Oh, wow.
Even my dad was like, it's a flower. It's Jasmine. Because like my parents were like, you're going to change your first name? Like when they were helping me do middle names, they're like, you're going to change your first name too, right? I'm like, it's not. I was like, but you're going to. Okay. I was like, everyone calls me. I'm like, you guys are trying to make me change the name you gave me. And usually most parents are like, how dare you change the name I give you?
But you're like, it's actually okay.
Yeah, I'm like, no one knows that it's a girl's name. But also, I was outside of academic settings. I was always called Yas. Always.
Always?
Like, wow. Neighborhood friends, one of my best friends, like growing up, and then I kind of got introduced into like my elementary school. But it was only like junior high, high school, and like college really that people used my full name. Anytime I was outside of like an acting class or a different environment, everyone always shortened it to Yas. So that was just kind of always
present for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just didn't feel the need to change my name, but I feel like Yas does make more sense. Just like, it's like someone named, we'll say Michael, goes by Mike, and they don't want to be called Michael because they like Mike. It's just, I don't necessarily have a preference. Right. But one of the reasons I kept my like legal name Yasmin and changed my stage name to Yas for like reasons that, so it's like a dual purpose reason of,
yeah,
I felt like Yas just made more sense. I was like, how do I want to be called in interviews or magazine? Like if people are talking about me or something,
right?
Yasmin just feels like very formal and full. And I added one of my middle names, Modaris Gasiri, in between because Yas Gasiri is not like, it felt incomplete because it's Yasmin Gasiri. Like, so it felt cut off. And so I kept Yasmin because Yas Gasiri is weird because it's a nickname. Like, I remember one of the first times I was credited that way when I was in the trans chorus, and I was like, that's weird to call me Yas Gasiri. It's either just Yas like Cher or it's my full name. You know what I mean? I was like, this is strange. But so that's why with my stage name, I was like, I wanted something in it. And Modaris Gasiri was the original full last name in Iran. And then when people immigrated, they were like, that must be your middle name because they actually don't have middle names. But
right.
Ellis Island was like, white people, it must be this. And so that's kind of a nod to like my heritage with that. And so
of course
I kept Yasmin legally, and then I made Mars my only non-Middle Eastern middle name, my first middle name.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so I was born with 3 middle names because my parents couldn't compromise. Okay. I hated all of them except for the last one because they were very feminine. Because it was 2 grandmothers' names. And then Noel, because my dad loved Christmas. Like I said in the holiday special, I was not kidding. Like, really loved it. It was spelled Noelle, so the feminine version of it. So I couldn't even pretend it was like Noel or something.
Got it.
And that was name dysphoria for me. Seeing Noel on stuff. Like I hated it.
Okay.
Like you literally, if you looked at like my college graduation, like 7 other like white girls had that as their middle name. And I was like, and so, but I didn't want my name to be super Middle Eastern on my passport.
Right.
Just to have a little buffer, you know? And so, yeah. And then the other kind of reason I kept it, which this isn't like any like judgment on trans people who are triggered by a dead name or feel like that, like it's not, it has nothing to do with that at all. But because it's not a dead name, and I kept it legally, I feel like it gives me power if anyone were ever trying to dead name me. If I was in a situation where they're like, well, we're going to call you Yasmin because that's your actual name, I'll be like, okay, fine, that's my name. Like it's on my mail, you know, everything, gender, birth certificate, driver's license. So
right.
Yeah, so it's a name that it feels like mine because like I only met like one Yasmin in my life and I was like 20 the first time I did.
Yeah.
And it just feels more complete on, and also it's like kind of weird for my doctor to call me Yas. I'm like, I don't know you, like you're the urgent care doctor, you know, because they'll always be like when they find out I'm on T and they're like, is this a preferred, like, well, I'm like, you can call me Yasmin because I don't know you. Like this is strange for a doctor to call me Yas. Like we're not like that, you know.
Oh, fascinating. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like the formal or informal, and I feel like there is this, like it kind of feels like an extra fun, like F you. So like if someone's like, I'm gonna dead name you, and be like, you can't, I don't have a dead name, like,
right,
you know. But again, if someone does have a dead name, that is triggering, absolutely no judgment. It's just because it's not a dead name for me. And I think it also in a way kind of helps.
Right. So let me gather this. So you've never did you go through a legal name change process?
For my middle names.
You did?
Yeah. So
for your middle names?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to change, which was a little confusing to people, but I was just like, I'm changing my middle names only.
I see. But given birth name is Yasmin.
Given birth name and legal
as
name
a first name
is Yasmin.
Okay.
My whole
Yasmin.
Like my whole given name was Yasmin Noel Evelyn Taban Gassiri.
Got you.
That was my original.
And that's where you were like, I gotta change.
Yeah. Taban, not as bad, a little gender neutral, but it's
Noelle and Evelyn.
Yeah. But grandma, they're all grandmothers. So now it's Yasmin.
They're grandmas. Yeah,
Mars Majid Modaris Gassiri. So
got it.
And I had like 2 M's. And I was like, I might as well make it 3 M's because it just makes like.
You were like, I gotta at least keep all the names.
Yeah, because I was like, that would be crazy to have 2. I was born with 3 middle names. I was gonna keep, because also it's always a fun. It's not even a full story. I always love when people are like, why do you have 3 middle names? I'm like,
I love
my parents
that.
couldn't compromise.
Oh my god. See,
that's why
I couldn't decide on a middle name. So my legal middle name, because my given middle name was Maria, my legal name when I changed it is the letter M. Because I was like, I can't put my brain to this right now.
That's so funny. Just M.
So my legal name is Avi M. Roque.
Love it. Yeah. But yeah, so I do so that's why I feel like sometimes the name dysphoria is like, I get it and I dealt with it, but not being my first name made it way less of a constant presence.
For sure.
And also, like, no one could pronounce it correctly anyway. Like,
that makes sense.
Always being called Jasmine, Yasmin, like anything, my name.
Of course.
So Yas is also it's easier for people, especially because I can be like, it's like Yas Queen, like, which I kind of hate because like I get like whiplash in West Hollywood, but it's also made it a way for people to pronounce my name correctly.
Yes.
But Yas just also tends to be a little easier. So yeah, it's definitely, so it was a whole thing of like, because part of me was like, do I go by just Yas, like for my stage name? But then like, because of the cultural implications of Yas, I felt like, because I didn't want to do Yas Gassiri, but I didn't want any of my like original middle names. So it was like a complicated journey of me figuring out my stage name and my legal name. Yeah. But that's the long journey.
I think it's a strong name though.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Stage and for life. I think when you say all 3 names.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Wow.
Oh my god.
We went on a whole Wow.
Basically the film.
Yeah, so to summarize, but yeah, I do think though, I mean, to see how the film inspired this conversation, I do think it's just a really well done film. And it wasn't, I think overall it was like well received and stuff. And the only real thing I could find about any cultural backlash was like a year and a half or 2 years later, France has this like cinephile enrichment program called École et Cinéma. And it basically is to show children films. And so over like 45,000 junior high school students saw this film, and it did spark conservative backlash from parents, and it was labeled as like LGBTQ plus propaganda, even though it's just like very gentle, benign in a way story. Like it's just literally a kid existing.
Okay, but so that was the parent response, but what were the kids' response? What was the youth response?
That's a great question. Let me see if...
Because I get it, the backlash was coming from the parental adult figure, but I'd be curious to know if there was any response on what was the youth, or is that not even counted?
I mean, like, so this would have been like 2013 or 14 this happened. That I don't know if they, like, unfortunately, I don't know if they would have been polling kids or...
Right.
Oh, okay. It was Little White Lies. The political article I brought up, it does reference a 2020 interview where the director said, I wanted to leave it open because I wanted everybody to connect. And so...
Which I feel like it does that.
Yeah.
I feel like you could take something away from it, that I take something else away from it, that anyone else watching could take something away from it.
Yeah.
I do get that.
I agree. And I think that's something that pivots into, like, this is coming out during awards season, right? SAG Awards and the Oscars are coming up. And something I think is interesting is, like, we talk a lot, and we've talked a lot about on this podcast and the panels, whereas kids growing up, we didn't see a lot of us represented. But we also haven't so far had anyone who grew up in France on the panel or the podcast that had enrichment programs that showed like cinema to kids, you know? And I'm wondering, it's like, we're not being represented in these mainstream places, because it was like this film, no one was freaking out about it until it became entered into a mainstream space of like parents are aware, right?
Right.
And a film that was making a bigger splash at the beginning of awards season was a film called After the Hunt. After the Hunt is a film directed by Luca Guadagnino that came out last year, so it's been in this current film cycle. It's a psychological drama centered on a Yale psychology professor played by Julia Roberts, whose life and career unravel after a sexual assault allegation involving a colleague and one of her students. It explores power dynamics, moral complexity, and institutional politics rather than offering tidy answers about truth or justice. And full disclaimer for people watching it, we haven't seen this movie.
Yeah.
But there is a trans masculine character in it, and he takes his shirt off in one scene after jogging, I think. And I saw like a little bit of that, like kind of what Charlie was saying, that how there's like the trans famous thing of like, there was like in the trans circles, that like excitement over top surgery scars on screen. And Julia Roberts was nominated for a Golden Globe, but it did receive like mixed reviews from like critics, and so it's not really a contender in this award season. It's not nominated, as far as I know, for SAG or any Academy Awards. But it kind of got me thinking that there's a lot of critically acclaimed films that have queerness in it, right? Like Saltburn, lots of queer stuff in that. I feel like we could probably list a lot of other films. None at the moment from the current season are coming to mind.
Frankenstein. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, but metaphor,
Correct.
clearly.
Very trans. Frankenstein.
Very,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry,
very trans
wow.
metaphor. But it's just sort of interesting with a lot of our guests have been really excited about the indie scene coming up. And we are seeing that there's like, yeah, we're not seeing a trans superhero. We're not seeing a trans masked person on, like, I don't want to say a network and then be wrong, you know what I mean? But like when you look at mainstream television and things that are really easily accessible or palpable to a younger audience, we're not seeing that representation. But then there's this entire beautiful 2011 French film. Or we're also only looking at American stuff, right? The Criterion Channel had actually like a little masc playlist that had a couple of other masculine, also butch, lesbian, and non-binary stuff, including shorts. But they were also from different countries. And so I don't want to be all like hoity-toity, oh, trans masks exist in the realm of art over entertainment. I don't want to like say that. But, you know, there is an element of like, okay, we're not seeing a trans person on a sitcom on ABC Family or Freeform or wherever it's called now. But Pose, I would say, is called prestige TV specifically, right? There's an element of like this critically acclaimed film with Julia Roberts had a trans masked person with top surgery scars, and unfortunately it didn't have a wider impact. But also the people who saw the film, there wasn't this huge outrage over it.
Right. It's not a thing that is being scorned or... Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody being like, after the hunt was terrible because there was a trans person who was shirtless in it. And then, like, I didn't see it online, you know?
That for me, though, is like the way it is still invisible. The way it's not even a thought. The way it's not even recognized. The way it's not like... And I'm like, okay, but then what do we... This is where my brain is getting like, oh, like, do we need to not sensationalize it, but like, do we need to like it to be a thing? I don't know. This is where I feel very torn because it existed. It was very normalized. But then here we are being like, but it wasn't talked about. And it wasn't a thing. But which is good that no one's making a fuss about it. But we're also not celebrating it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's interesting because I'm like, is it... Because, you know, I already went on that tangent, probably more than one episode about Hollywood's marketing issue. But like, yeah, is it... Or is it maybe that like the cis audiences who are seeing it are like, okay,
correct,
cool,
it could
trans
be that
guy, thumbs up, you know? They're like, I know for, like, you know, it's like,
yeah, that's not the issue,
you know, right? And also if they're not aware that there's a lack, or are there maybe like all these other films that like, I'm not gonna pretend there's like hundreds of trans masked films, but are there other films out there that just aren't being talked about, or is it just because the filmmakers who are making more artistic films that aren't making it for money necessarily? Right. Like, you know, because a lot of, and I know absolutely nothing about the money or pay for After the Hunt, but I know, for example, there's a lot of like Mark Ruffalo, he'll do indie films for almost nothing to do indie films, right? Because he makes his Avengers money and he wants to support indie artists, which is wonderful. But I'm just kind of like, is there... I don't know. It's just got me wondering. I'm like, is there a space where maybe trans stories can exist and thrive, but they're not getting the recognition? Or is this a precursor, because this is a 2025 film, to the next wave of indie film that's going to come up? That these, you know, more of these like meteor critically acclaimed films might be where we start making our impact. Like, I don't want to say like a grassroots thing versus pushing really hard to get us on like the Disney Channel.
Okay. Yes. Okay, my brain went to what are we seeking then? And this might be back to like our representation, but like, what are we seeking then for like this trans representation, for this trans masc representation? What really are we asking for and seeking then? Because it's like that happened. Is it like that we wanted people to talk about it more? Is it that we wanted people to recognize that? Is that gonna be? Is that gonna help? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's a prime example of that happened. It exists. No one talks about it. Same thing. Not to be like me, but like I voiced a non-binary animated character on a Disney animated series. Crickets. Except for the people who know, right? Except for the people that are like, I hear that, I see that, I recognize that, and that means a lot to me.
Yeah, and maybe that's how it starts, because like we don't know about the impact that After the Hunt has had on the decision makers, on the artists and the filmmakers who are making stuff, who are coming up to make stuff, you know, because I don't think anyone's going to be like, because there wasn't a public outrage about it, the film, if it didn't meet expectations, they're not blaming the trans masc person. So I'm like, well, that's good. Or maybe it's something where like, if, you know, a few hundred screenwriters, directors, producers saw this film and saw a trans masculine person, does that mean that like the people who are going to be making more stuff like this, they saw and they're like, oh yeah, this is a way to introduce a trans person, right? You know? So I guess like to answer your question of like the hope, like I hope that this is like a step towards more films having trans masculine actors and or roles. That I feel like the order of that was strange. Obviously trans roles should be played by trans people, but in case it's a trans actor and the role wasn't originally trans or something. Anyway, I digress, but I'm hoping it's like a step towards something happening, because yeah, and it's a good question. Like, do we need the avalanche of PR? Does it have to be a headlining news story that like, you know, conservatives in the Midwest who don't know anything about trans people are bombing the bombarding the comment section to have an impact? Because like in some ways maybe it's better that didn't happen.
Can it be subtle and quiet and just exist?
Yeah. Right, because like how we talked about with before the podcast, we were recording with Dylan Mulvaney.
Wait, what? We recorded with who?
No. No. Wait, you and I were talking about right before we started recording the podcast. Dylan Mulvaney got cast on Broadway in 6. And Broadway has already had some trans,
but Dylan
non-binary performers
as a name, as a persona, as a person, put it on the map.
And 6 also being a cultural, like 6 is huge, like it's absolutely massive. But and Juliet happening, or other things that have cast, like you said, unknown trans or queer people, didn't get all the flack. But there were other trans people on stage before Dylan, and did that make the space? Because 6 doesn't need stunt casting, you know? They don't need to put in a TikToker just to get seats. It's a massive hit on Broadway. And I don't know. I think that's like it's like a big sociological like question of like the impact it has on people. But I think if mainstream Hollywood doesn't feel like trans people can make money, or trans people could lose them money, I think it's going to be the circles of Hollywood that make indies critically acclaimed stuff, where that might be the more friendly or open space at the moment, you know, because it's yeah. And also there's also like a lot out there that we just don't know about. Like I just found out that there was like a new Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah, there is.
Yeah, and Josie Tota, the trans actress, is on it. I didn't hear anything about it. I didn't hear any outrage.
Correct.
I didn't even hear from a Middle Eastern perspective. There was a Middle Eastern on there. I heard nothing. I am the target audience to find out about a trans Middle Eastern person on a TV show, and I didn't know about it.
I don't know. This might be like beyond the scope of what we're talking about in our this episode.
Yeah, I know.
We went off the rails, but
we did.
Let's figure out a tie-in.
Yeah, I think the original intention was to say there seems to be some spaces where these trans stories are not just shown but celebrated. Right. Granted, After the Hunt and Tomboy are almost 14 years apart. But the question then becomes of like, and maybe this is like a season 2 thing we research in between. Also, if people want to like reach out and let us know if they have the answer. But it also could be like, are we looking in the right places? Like AJ brought up all these LGBT streaming platforms I had never heard of, right? And yes, it's another platform to pay for, another streamer, another like, which can be hard, but like AJ said, you can put your money where your family is, or maybe like, even if you can only do 1 month or 1 movie a month, like whatever the pricing is. I feel like we're still lacking as trans masculine people.
In the mainstream.
I think generally too, but I was going to say I think generally we are.
Not the correction.
I was going to say generally.
Just generally.
I do think just generally, but especially in the mainstream. And if we're looking in the wrong places, that like for content, are we also looking in the wrong places for other creators, for the funders? You know, are we going down? We're like, there's like a playbook, right, of how to get funded, how to get seen, how to get discovered. Like, but maybe it doesn't work for us as trans people. Maybe we have to look, like Charlie said, there's like all these trans people and producers still can't find us. It's like, well, we're doing what every other actor is doing. Do we need to do something different? Do we need to get in front of different people? Do we need to like tattoo a trans flag on our face? I don't know. But yeah, so I think there was something in the connection of like, this was a really amazing trans masculine story that was also a little hard for us to find where to watch. Like,
correct.
It took us a bit, and because it wasn't on the Criterion channel when we first researched it.
Correct. And this is us labeling it a trans masculine story.
That's true.
But it could very much be just like a queer, gender, expansive exploration story. Like, we are labeling it as a trans narrative.
Yeah.
But I loved that the filmmaker was like, well, you could take it and you can decide. Because it could also be the thing around, like, you know, being still identifying as she, her, and like, but like being masculine presenting. Mm-hmm. You know, like, we don't know. Like, it truly is a story of youth and like an exploration of gender and gender identity and expression, which is something that you and I both can relate to. You know, after living life and experiencing so many things, that we were able to put our own interpretation onto it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And what is nice is the filmmaker, like, we weren't forgotten as trans masculine people. Like, even if it's like purposely open, it was open in a way where we could find space for ourselves in it.
Totally.
Which we can't really say about most other pieces of content.
We can't. And that's a gift. For sure.
It is. But yeah, well, this took so many turns and twists for us as hopefully well as the listeners. But it is a beautiful film, and if you do check it out, we hope that you can feel as seen as we did, because that was lovely. And I feel like it's okay. I kind of like that we had a longer episode because we do have our last interview coming up.
Oh my goodness. Can you believe it that
I know.
We, you know, planned for a full season 1.
Mm-hmm.
We've released this many episodes, and the next one is actually the last episode of season 1.
Yeah. So I feel like we gave a little extra dose of chaos for this second to last send off because we actually have to stay on track with the guest.
We've got a schedule.
Yes. But thanks again for listening and supporting us for this journey. I'm sure we'll have something sappier to say in the last episode.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Next time on In Full View, we're closing out Season 1 with Aiden Thomas, the New York Times best-selling author of Cemetery Boys. We get into writing trans boy fantasy, navigating culture and gender tradition, and why trans masc joy matters in YA literature. Make sure you're subscribed to In Full View wherever you get your podcasts. And if you liked this episode, please rate and review us. See you next time.